Is there a renaissance in progress in Iran? I think what is happening in Iran is a massive social hatred of Islam which has accumulated in the vast majority of the population. Its pressure is increasing day by day, and this will very soon break the dams. It will tear the chains and turn Iran, which has been the seat of reactionary Islamic rule for over 20 years, into one of the centers of struggle against the reactionary Islamic movement in the region. I am sure of this. I think that the intellectual, philosophical and ideological struggle which has not occurred in Iran historically, will perhaps this time take place because of the political situation through people's political action. That is, an anti-Islamic offensive by people who have experienced 20 years of reactionary Islamic rule in this country and all the crimes committed for Islam and in the name of Islam. The hatred against Islam is historically unprecedented. As one of your listeners said, mullahs would at one time come and get paid to read religious sermons and go. They had a role in society. But when they come to the fore, organize society based on their views, turn their internal moralities into external laws for all to observe, and we see all of their filth everywhere, then it's not possible just to permit them to go back into their previous hole. When the wave sets off and people's anti-Islamic offensive begins, then Islam cannot retreat to its position and stance of 2 decades ago. It is highly probable that people will take all of these away from them. Could this be called a renaissance? I believe that one aspect and problem on this question is whether this political and emotional hatred of Islam is accompanied with a deep intellectual fight which will dissect the foundations of this religion and religious thought in general and expose and criticize it in all of its aspects, including Orientals, patriarchy, rightlessness of children, etc. This critique must be advanced by the social ideologues in each era. We don't see this. Consequently, the movement against Islam in the first instance will be a mass popular movement against the political social expression of Islam, but to what extent this will be accompanied by a deep ideological critique which next generations can capitalize on to move beyond the religious superstitious era, we will have to wait and see what happens in practice. It is clear that the rise of the anti-Islamic wave will certainly have with it its own ideologues, but we are not currently witnessing such a phenomenon. What we are witnessing, apart from the Worker Communist Party of Iran and some well-thinking individuals, is that a majority of those who want to get rid of the Islamic Republic and think that they are being clever, which is in fact a kind of provincial cleverness, is that if we encourage a good mullah in opposition to a bad mullah, this is considered progress. Then we set another mullah against Khatami and then another one until eventually one day we tell the last one that you don't have to be a mullah. This is a kind of so-called politicking and deceiving history, which has never been successful in history. It is sad to see intellectuals, poets, writers and politicians who are party to this political farce. I believe they are an obstacle to the transparency of the future struggle. I think all of them will be isolated. Anyone who compromises with any aspect of Islam or the Islamic Republic will be asked to respond to the people tomorrow. I think that in Iran those who are rearguards in society are called intellectuals. The bright and free thinkers must be sought among the generation who is involved in a life struggle and goes and sets up a satellite dish on the roof and risks arrest in order to know what the world is saying. He is the real intellectual of that country. The intellectuals are the rearguards who have set up intellectual shops for themselves. It is really sad. Today, we are missing someone who will challenge the roots of Islam and criticize Islam in the same manner as Sadegh Hedayat and Ali Dashta. Whoever does this at this juncture will become a historical personality more than anyone else in the intellectual history of this country and will become the banner of intellectual and moral struggle of the people of Iran against Islam and Islamism for hundreds of years. This seat is vacant. Consequently, today this is purely a political conflict. How far this political wave can stabilize people's anti-Islamic advance is debatable. I would not call it a renaissance, but I think that Islam will suffer a major defeat in this country.